Hi, I'm Aaron Law, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about CRISPR-Cas9. It's considered now to be the holy grail of genetic modification and genome editing because it's so advanced and so specific in how it works. But when people hear about this, it's kind of frightening to think about when you're not really in the biology department in your university or you haven't really studied it before. So I'm going to try to define it for you a bit more so you're less afraid of it when you see it in the future. So CRISPR is actually a pretty elegant system, and when we refer to it, it technically could be two things. It could be a immune system in bacteria, or it could be this genome editing tool, and it's the same thing, it's just that we get it from bacteria. And so when we see CRISPR-Cas9, it's actually kind of two things, but since they are so interdependent on each other, we always refer to them together as this CRISPR-Cas9 system. And so I'll start with Cas9 because it's the easier of the two to look at, and then we can deal with the daunting part. So Cas9 is actually just a single protein, and so that means that it just does one tool in this entire thing, and it kind of acts like scissors for DNA. And so with the help of the CRISPR DNA, it can go in and specifically find a tiny part of the DNA, exactly what you want, and it'll just cut for you. And because it's just this protein, it's actually a lot less scary than it sounds. It's just because, as scientists, it's frequently just determining these 3-letter, 4-letter systems names because it's easier to keep track of when you've got so many different proteins. So the actual meat is this CRISPR part, and it's actually an acronym, and it stands for Clustered Regularly Interspaced Short Palindromic Repeats. And that sounds like a mouthful, and it kind of is, but really all it is just these short palindromes in the DNA sequence, and it's the same as any palindrome you see in a book. I've got this one, Evil Olive. It just means that it's spelled the same way from front to back as back to front. And so this DNA, because of these palindromes, it can match with itself really well. And so you can go to these really specific points using that Cas9 because it matches so well. And then you can just cut that one part, and it lets you edit whatever you want where you want it. So it's really just this pretty simple, great system for gene editing. So thanks for listening to me talk about it, and I hope it's less daunting if you hear about it in the future.